Good evening, YouTube. HeirofCarthage here, and we are back in some Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. And yes, I've got a very interesting match for you. This is going to be vampires versus the cult of Sotek. The vampires are led by none other than Kemmler. And right now you may be asking, where is Krell? Well, don't worry. He'll find his way into the battlefield. I guess that's some rather obvious foreshadowing on my part, but he will. Let me show you the vampire army so you can see it. There are two Vargulfs, a black coach, Kemmler, astride a horse. There are a few, there's two Graveguard actually, I think in total. One is the Sternsman, another is the standard model here. Got the Königstein Stalkers, two Fellbats, and you're gonna have two Blood Knights supporting a couple of skeleton spears on the flanks. And then for the Cult of Sotek, we have the Star Chamber Guardians Temple Guard, some Saurus Warriors with shields, and another one over here with spears. And then we have the Cohort of Sotek, which is an unbreakable red-crested skink. And then we've got a SLANN Mage, Lure of Light here, and he's got Net of Amatoch. Let's check it all out here. Net of Amatoch, Time Warp, and Phos Protections. Definitely some good stuff. He's also got the Shield of the Old Ones. There are two Bastiladons with Solar Engines. This is a really solid pick because they deal flaming damage. And the vampires have a lot of units that have fire weakness because of the regen. And it's going to be the same thing with the Ancient Salamander here. Huge fire damage, armor piercing, all kinds of stuff from range. Very nice pick. Two Cold One Spear Riders. These are just nice cavalry units for the price. Not a match for Blood Knights head-to-head, but a pretty effective cost trade in some cases. And then there are two skink cohorts on each flank. Let's play this out. This battle is quite epic, and I hope y'all are ready for it. Let's check out this Ancient Salamander up close. So he's going to spit the flaming shots over here across the map. And the Sternsman's a fantastic target. They are weak to fire. Look at that. Solar Engine like went right through that Vargulf. Another one, the Vargulf actually nicely dodged that one. Vargulfs are kind of a pain in the butt to kill, unless you got good skirmishers for it. Sometimes the right units can make quick work of them, like a big ball of cavalry, but against single unit models, I find Vargulfs do their best work. They do get staggered easily, and their leadership is not great. It's really the only downside. You can see Kemmler rolling up here to support those Vargulfs. One of them gets netted and held in place, and I believe this is going to be Krell. No, it's a zombie. Zombie coming up here. See here, a little bit of skirmishing going on. They're targeting the Blood Knights right now. A pretty good target. Get rid of those Blood Knights will certainly help. We'll just take a look here at the fights that ensue. The Star Chamber Guardians are going to be a very tough unit for the vampires to kill. A very tough unit. You can see that Salamander getting a lot of kills. And a nice use of Fellbats here just to get the Salamander to keep his mouth closed because he's lobbing fireballs out of it. You can see the Vargulfs very determined to use their mass to break through to key targets like the Bastiladons with solar engines. And this one over here trying to escape from a fight and then get back into a better position. So the Lizard Infantry trying to stave off the horde of vampires now. Hasn't been a big star of the show at this point, but you've got this Black Coach doing work, and this is going to be a dangerous unit for the Lizardmen potentially. Well, why? There's so many other targets for the Lizardmen to focus on, but this one can't be forgotten. You've got two Blood Knights, two Vargulfs, and now you're going to have Kemmler and Krell. And you can see Krell up in here. And on top of that, you're supposed to stop a Black Coach from rolling around everywhere, because if you don't, Black Coaches do a couple things. One, they can heal vampire infantry near them. They provide an Encourage aura, and they have an amazing charge bonus, and are very, very good versus infantry, but they also cause armor-piercing damage, which can be good against anything armored in the right scenario. They're typically not going to be any good in a large fight, though. Just let y'all get some close-ups here. Here's the SLANN Mage fighting those Blood Knights, and the Blood Knights do go down. You can see the Black Coach in here plowing through. Also, not to be forgotten on the Black Coach is Terror and Fear. Fear causing a leadership debuff when it goes into effect, and Terror routing a unit until it can regain that leadership. Here we've got a Shield of the Old Ones up. This will give the Lizardmen some very nice protection from all the vampire units. Look at this, Vargulfs healed up all the way. They're not taking any damage. Krell is in here just beating away at a Bastiladon with Solar Engine, and the SLANN Mage and that Bastiladon will want to be nowhere around Krell. See there the shield coming apart. The Salamander has been pretty effective so far. He's in melee right now. Not the great place for him. If he can avoid the Vargulfs, the Salamander can be a very important unit, and he can kill the Vargulfs quite well from range. If he fought them in melee, I don't think it's as effective, but he could do okay because of the flaming attacks. Just kind of depends on how it plays out. You'd obviously want to hit the Vargulfs from range, ideally. So you can see here the battle just going back and forth a lot. The Lizardmen dealing a lot of blows to the Vampires dealing a lot of blows to the Lizardmen. This Black Coach has 48 kills, and it's been relatively uncontested the whole battle because of the other big characters here, but it is doing some excellent work on the Lizardman infantry, just roving through and through, so very nice control of the Black Coach at this point. The Salamander is going to get into a position to probably go try and lob some fireballs. You can see the solar engines backing up and trying to get shots on key units. Kemmler would obviously be a target that they would want to get rid of. Black Coach now 56 kills. Look at that. The Salamander missed and totally hit the Bastiladon. Yikes. Little Cult of Sotek friendly fire there. The fireballs are not horribly accurate from long range. There's Kemmler coming in to support his troops here. Summon up some zombies. Put a huge hit point sponge up there in the zombies. That's always a good plan because that Vargulf is doing some great work right now. And then look at the Salamander. He just comes over here and gets absolutely worked by the Vargulf. Vargulf did take a big flaming shot to the butt right there. And another. And if that Salamander starts to land hits, which he finally does, it'll start causing a lot of damage to the Vargulf. But the Vargulf somehow avoided any damage on the first couple of hits. I guess its melee defense came into play because I don't think the melee attack of the Ancient Salamander isn't particularly high for such a big unit. So that may be why it did that. Look at that. Clean miss by the solar engine right into the Salamander. Fortunately, it's slightly fire resistant, but Salamander gets routed by the presence of the Coach and having been shot, and Kemmler is going to try and give it an escort off the battlefield, which would stink for the Lizards. Honestly, things are not looking great for the Lizards right now. There's possibilities for him to turn it around, but it's going to be difficult. This Coach is just wrecking. Fortunately for the Lizards, though, the Star Chamber Guardians are absolutely owning. Saurus are tough units. And over here, a couple of regrouped Cold One Knights have pinned down Kemmler. The Black Coach is coming to try and rescue him, but here comes the SLANN Mage. You can see those Velociraptors really getting after Kemmler. And Kemmler did not even manage to put the Salamander out of business, who comes back, starts lobbing fireballs in, almost hits friendly units again. One of the Vargulfs was in there taking a beating. Kemmler's going to get away relatively unscathed, and so will the Coach. But a nice attempt by the Lizard player to turn that around. Here's the Star Chamber Guardians. These guys look absolutely amazing. Now, if that Coach gets tied down in here for very long, the Star Chamber Guardians can work it over. But, I mean, it has the mass to just pull through that infantry, and the Lizards are experiencing that right now. There's very little they can do about it. Friendly fire again from the Ancient Salamander, who has a clean miss of the Vargulf. However, the Bastiladon hits it, and one of the Vargulfs is now starting to be debilitated and start debinding. Another miss from the Salamander, who is causing a fair deal of friendly fire at this point. But the one Vargulf is pretty weak here. He does not look like he's going to last a whole lot longer. Finally, the Salamander lands a death blow to the Vargulf rather than his own troops. Another clean miss by the solar engine. Those Vargulfs are a lot harder to hit than they look like they would be at this point, so I don't know if just really unlucky for the Lizard player or what. Kemmler decided to go up against the Bastiladon. He may regret that. He's going to take some damage in return. But the Vargulf comes out and helps and gets rid of it. So now you got a Black Coach rolling around. There's still one more Bastiladon out here, and it just gets a good shot on Kemmler right there. Though that friendly fire could play in again, because now you have a big fat SLANN Mage between the solar engine and its targets. Comes the Black Coach, and when it hits this infantry from behind, the terror and fear takes place, and then it's the same thing with the Vargulf, so Lizards are going to have to watch for that. Not even the Star Chamber Guardians are immune to psychology. Their leadership's been so good, and they're near their lord, that it hasn't happened yet, but it can happen. So this is going to be a crazy fight to the finish. I would say that the Vampires hold a bit of an edge here, but the Lizardmen have units regrouping, and this Ancient Salamander is getting back in the fight. The Black Coach getting caught for just a moment, not for too long. Salamander got a good initial charge on that Vargulf. It's really out of ammo at this point, so it had to dive in, and it gets clobbered by the Coach. Not before it does a little bit of damage, though, and Kemmler Kemmler taking some heat. He's having to get out of the kitchen here. He's crumbling. Nice shot from the solar engine, causes quite a bit of damage to a Vargulf. And this salamander ends up finally getting a little bit done here. He takes a side swipe from the Vargulf, but is able to turn around and land a big hit with that fire damage. And look at that, the salamander KOs the Vargulf, but trades. And so the salamander comes back, manages to trade. You still got a black coach rolling around with very little way for the lizards to stop it. But they can try and win on the leadership game at this point. And that would certainly be done because of the fact that Kemmler is very low. So if Kemmler gets knocked out of the fight, the lizards are very much back in it and have a potential chance, but dealing with that coach is going to be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. Kemmler gets netted, which I was just waiting for here. Very nice play by the lizards. Very good reason to have a spell like net for key instances like this. And Kemmler is just taking the full force of all of these lizards here, and he will not survive this attack. The coach, its leadership is dropping, so it's starting to become debilitated. There was a unit of Königstein Stalkers that had been forgotten about most all of the battle that is finally coming back in, and it couldn't be more timely for the vampires as they desperately need something to come up here and tank some of this damage. The shield of the old ones goes up, and the vampires really don't want that engagement underneath the shield, and there was also a banishment coming in, so they back up outside of the shield. You can see over here that just a lot of work for the lizards to try and get that coach. It's faster than them. They can't really catch it. The stalkers are being used as infantry fodder, as they should. The coach is absolutely critical here. If it crumbles, the vampires are done. If it can stay alive a little longer, the coach may be able to do the damage that it needs to, because most of the lizard units are very, very low. And remember, that Terrified coming into play potentially here in the late game. It's a big deal. It's a real big deal right there. Terror. Here comes another hit from the coach. Let's see what's going to happen. Can these Star Chamber Guardians resist the urge to terror out? Their lord is nearby, and they're resisting it for now. The Königstein Stalkers, of course, taking a beating from what's left of the Star Chamber Guardians, but the Guardians themselves taking a beating every time this coach pulls through here, which it can pretty much at will, because again, there's just not enough mass. And there comes a terror rout on the Star Chamber Guardians at a very good moment, but there are a few lizard units regrouping. This fight isn't quite over yet. The SLANN Mage Priest is still looking quite strong. Gonna be able to do some pretty solid damage here. He is chasing that black coach, but there will not be any catching it, so a little bit of focus back onto the Königstein Stalkers. Hard to deal with that unit, though. It's poison. And the vampire units don't rout, whereas these other units just did. So, tough break for the lizards. The Star Chamber Guardians can still come back, but only 9 unit models, few skink cohorts. This is going to end up being a very close battle here, where the SLANN Mage is going to have to try and hold off a black coach and some Königstein Stalkers. I was thinking the coach healed, but I guess it doesn't, at least maybe not unless it's in melee. Yeah, it doesn't heal. But it does, I believe, actually, I'm trying to remember all the different traits on it. Let me get in on close on it. It's got a huge ward save right now. Undead. Damage resistance. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a lot of good stuff going on right now. It doesn't heal, but it is a big unit for the vampires. See, the SLANN Mage doesn't really want to just sit here and get bogged down in those Königstein Stalkers. They're going to poison him. Star Chamber Guardians trying to do any damage they can to the coach. It's desperate at this point to get that damage done. There's an Aura of Quetzal here trying to buff what few Star Chamber Guardians remain, but they just continue to take charges. Now there is a huge resistance here. 153 kills on those Guardians, though. Another rout by the Black Coach. So it's just a few Star Chamber Guardians with their SLANN Mage, and they've got to fight off some skeletons and Vampire Uber, the taxi from Sylvania. And that coach is not going to have any of being caught by these units. The SLANN Mage and his Star Chamber Guardians know that's where they need to be. There's some crumbling now going on for the Königstein Stalkers. A net on the the Black Coach right as it rams a few of the Star Chamber Guardians. So the SLANN's going to get in here, try and do all the damage he can. The net is holding it in place, and the damage is pretty severe. You got crumbling on the Coach, crumbling on the Königstein Stalkers, and it looks like the Lizards are going to pull this off. But will they? Look at the fight wearing on. Here's the SLANN Mage, and now it becomes very close. The SLANN Mage is poisoned because of the Königstein Stalkers, and that Black Coach is still laying it on. The Stalkers just keep going, the poison going. We have ourselves an extremely close, insane ending to this battle. The Coach is going to pull out for a charge. It is crumbling at this point. That SLANN Mage is not liking that poison, and there's a nice charge. And remember, the charge bonus on that Black Coach is going to be pretty significant. If it's not careful, though, if it turns its back and takes a hit from that SLANN, that could be all it takes to end this battle. Folks, this one is close. This one is very, very close. It'll be an absolute insane ending. All this time, and the SLANN loses his nerve and routs. The Black Coach and a few Königstein Stalkers pull off the miracle here versus the Cult of Sotek. What a battle by Puggington and Demi G. That was nuts. All the way down to the wire. Two really fun armies, a lot of back and forth in this battle, and a battle that went on for almost 15 minutes. And some pretty incredible exchanges. I really enjoyed that one, and I hope you all did too. That's why I wanted to cast it for you. Really a unique one, and some very nice play by both players. Some unfortunate plays by both players, but it was, you know, that happens, right? Everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes the Lizards shoot themselves. You know, you never know how it's going to go. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed that one. That was fantastic. Thanks to both players. I will be back with some more multiplayer. I know it's been a little bit light on multiplayer, other than the tournament. That was huge. We had like 7 hours of it. Which is why I haven't recorded a lot, because I knew that tournament was coming. But hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you soon. HeirofCarthage, signing out.